I have long opposed the various efforts to impeach Donald Trump. Overturning an election should be a rare event undertaken in only the most extreme circumstances. The process would create deep wounds in an already divided nation. And as a practical matter, since it's highly unlikely that a Republican-controlled Senate would vote by a two-thirds majority for conviction, the political effect could well be to vindicate Trump and aid his re-election. But the events of the last few weeks have led me to support an impeachment inquiry. To direct American foreign policy for personal political gain is the definition of abuse of power. But what has been far more troubling than that phone call to Ukraine is Trump's refusal to cooperate with the impeachment inquiry. Other presidents have contested a specific subpoena or request for documents. Donald Trump is effectively rejecting Congress's ability to hold him accountable. The rule of law has been built over centuries in the Western world, but it remains fragile because it is based on a bluff. The bluff is that at the highest level, everyone will respect the rules, even though it might not be possible always to force compliance. The rule at the heart of the American system is the separation of powers. The founders' greatest fear was that too much power in the hands of government would mean the end of liberty. So they ensured that power was shared and that each branch would act as a check on the other. The crucial feature for James Madison, the chief architect of the Constitution, was giving to those who administer each department or branch the necessary constitutional means and personal motives to resist encroachments of the others. Ambition must be made to counteract ambition, he wrote. But the system only works if all sides respect it. At the end of the day, Congress does not have an army or police force at its disposal, nor does the Supreme Court. These institutions rely on the president to accept their authority and enforce their laws and rulings. When the Supreme Court held unanimously that Richard Nixon could not use executive privilege to withhold the Watergate tapes, Nixon immediately agreed to comply, even though he knew it would mean the end of his presidency. All modern U.S. presidents, both Republican and Democratic, have expanded their powers. But Trump is on a different planet. He has refused to comply with wholly constitutional legislative requests for documents, information, and testimony. He has diverted money toward a project clearly not funded by Congress, reportedly promised pardons for officials who might break the law. He's now doubled down on his rejection of congressional oversight over him. Were Trump's positions to prevail, the American president would become an elected dictator. The Democrats, meanwhile, are on firm constitutional grounds, but are being politically unwise. They should ensure that this impeachment inquiry is and looks fair. They should follow the precedents laid down during the last two impeachment investigations. The inquiry should be undertaken as a great act of public education. A democracy can turn into a tyranny not all at once with a bang, but over time. Officials, often elected, often popular, can simply decide to weaken and then dispense with constitutional constraints or legislative checks. Liberty is eroded slowly but steadily. The Weimar Republic was a well-functioning liberal democracy that, within a few short years, using mostly legal processes, became a totalitarian dictatorship. Reflecting on that history, Yale's Timothy Snyder writes, "The conclusions for conservatives of today emerge clearly. Do not break the rules that hold a republic together, because one day you will need order." For more, go to cnn.com/Fareed and read my Washington Post column this week.